Hey, everybody. It's your girl, Miss Trina, with Chat with Trina. And I want to thank everybody for making the choice to click in to Chat with Trina today. And it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And, every year I have survivors or warriors, as we're calling them now, come on and share their story. And I do this one because I have so many friends who have survived this disease and some who have not, and some are dealing with it at this moment. But I also like to get the information out to you so that you can know what to look for. So you can make sure that you're checking your breast every month. So you can make sure when you feel that lump or bump that you realize that it's so important for you to get out and get checked. Today, I am super, super excited to have Miss Kimberly Williams on visiting with me today. And her company, is it a company or organization, Curvcella?
Organization.
We're going to get into that in a little bit. But right now, let's just are you going? Let's go ahead and talk about where you're from.
I'm from Houston. I wasn't born here, but I got here as soon as I could. Started elementary here and graduated. So I've done a lot in this city. Graduated high school from Lamar Senior High School.
Okay.
Went to University of Houston and got my master's at Texas Women's in the medical center here. So.
Awesome. What is your occupation, if you don't mind me asking?
So I'm for the most part have been an entrepreneur.
Okay.
But I celebrity styled, personal styled and celebrity styled for a few years. I've owned a just regular wholesale boutique, and now I'm a clothing designer with a custom line, Shop La Forme.
Oh wow. Okay. Do you have a specific style of woman, or is it all
Mhm. So
diverse?
I do like to focus on our curvy women because we
Okay.
are forgotten, and that's what Curvcella is about.
Okay.
My personal thought is to address the that area that's not addressed in department stores with
Mhm.
fun clothing,
Mhm.
just those, very one of a kind statement pieces. That's what my company typically produces. But I've had so many size 0 to size 12 women ask me to design for them, and I'm just like, y'all have so much already
There's
available.
so much.
Please allow
Let us
us to
let
have
curvy people
something.
have something.
Yes, yes. So I just changed the format of how this newest collection is just for plus size because we need it.
Love that. Love that. Well, we're gonna kind of get do you mind me asking, you have kids, brothers, sisters, or
So this is important I'm glad that you asked
mhm,
because it's important to say when we're talking about my story
mhm.
that I'm not married and I don't
Okay.
have children.
Mm,
So when you talk to someone, a breast cancer warrior, survivor,
mhm.
it's important to say that everybody's journey
It's
can be
different.
different, just based on the type of support system you have.
Exactly. That is and to be honest with you, I think you may be the first one that I've spoken with
Hmm.
that didn't have a partner and
Hmm.
through this journey. And I've learned that it is important. Well, you were gonna say something.
Well, no, I was just going to add that I was dating someone when
Hmm.
I found the lump,
Hmm.
and we eventually broke up because there were just so many dynamics to like all these doctor's visits, and it's not conducive for a relationship. I mean, I've talked to people that are gone through what I've gone through, and they talked about the strain on their marriage. So
Yeah.
it's not breast cancer is not for the weak. And when you think about just the fact that you just want to survive it,
Hmm.
but then you think about the other aspect of, oh gosh, I could lose my marriage, I could lose my relationship. My kids may walk in fear because they think,
Yeah.
that they're going to lose me. I mean, there's so many other dynamics to consider.
Yeah. Um, so we're gonna go back to June 2022, which is right when COVID was not ending, but you know what I mean. We're coming out of that being at home.
Yeah. So June 2022, it was, I would say strategically, I was on track for where I wanted to be in the year. And
Mm-hmm.
I know you've heard the saying that, if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. Because my plans, I just sold my home and my clothing line is manufactured in Lagos, Nigeria. So I had these things in motion to be able to live there part of the time because I felt like, wow, this collection that I put out is going to just be dynamic because I'm going to be on the ground and, there with my factory and just firsthand touching the fabrics and not having to wait every couple months. And that's what I was moving into.
Mm-hmm.
So that particular month, I went to stay at my brother's because I just sold my house. And I was like, hey, I only need to stay here for a little bit because I'm moving, I'm
I
going to
got
put my
things
stuff
to
in
do.
storage. Yeah, and I'm going to be traveling back and forth to Africa. And he was like, no problem, take your time. And so
Mm-hmm.
I was at his house, just really settled in for a few weeks, and I was asleep. And I'm one of those very light sleepers. And so I was turning over in the bed in his guest room. And all of a sudden, it was just like the way my hand was kind of situated, I felt a lump.
Mm-hmm.
And it was to the point, like, when you're doing something and you're half asleep and you're not really cognizant, I was just like turning my body, my eyes are closed. And all of a sudden, I feel this, and I'm like, my eyes shot open. I sat up, and I mean, just this adrenaline rush just came
Wow.
over me because it was clear that
That it was
I
a
could
loop.
feel.
Wow.
And the one thing that I'll add, there's a lot of moving pieces to this, so I pray that I'm able to get it all out to help
Mm-hmm.
someone. But if you're diagnosed with inflammatory breast cancer, which was later my diagnosis, because at that point, I'll say, the rest of the summer was dedicated to all these different visits and
Right.
getting in to even determine what was going on was so difficult. It's not as easy as they make it seem, and that's another conversation for another day,
Another
honestly,
day.
because
Right.
it's not like they tell you get a mammogram, get a mammogram, and then you get it, and what happens next really just depends on your healthcare system, your insurance. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of things are delayed, and I have the best insurance and literally could not get in, could not be seen. And even when I submerged myself into the MD Anderson system, they
Mm-hmm.
still had a 2-month wait for
So
me
that's
to
where your biography talks about the 2 months. Then is that what that was?
the 2
Oh.
months. So when I finally got in to see my primary oncologist, who's still my oncologist, she said, Kimberly, I know you felt this lump, but I want you to understand that you're diagnosed with stage 4. So that was my diagnosis, stage 4 inflammatory breast cancer. And she said, you don't get a lump typically. She said, we lose so many women to inflammatory breast cancer because they really just see a rash. So they go to a dermatologist.
Wow.
Um, and you talk about like just divine divine timing, divine intervention, just so
Intervention.
many different things that just are uncommon in different people's stories. So now I'm really terrified because I'm like, wow, God really had purpose for me because here it is that I am just thinking, oh, it's a lump and they're going to have to remove it. And I'm diagnosed with stage 4. She tells me at that point that, it's spreading.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm really terrified. And she's like, we have to start chemo now. We have to start chemo immediately.
Yeah.
But then she says, if you didn't have that lump and you thought it was a rash and you just let your life go on, she said you would have at some point expired
Mm.
because who you don't know. It's, you don't know it's breast cancer if you're looking at a rash. What are you
Right.
doing? You're going,
Exactly.
yeah, you're getting like, Benadryl or whatever. I mean, you're getting
Hmm.
topicals. You're not
Yeah.
thinking, I have breast cancer.
That's scary.
Um, it's very scary. And so at that point is when my real journey began because it was like, hey, we've identified, we know what's going on. You have this cancer, and we need to get you to chemo stat.
Yeah.
because they started me at 50% chance, then it went to 40,
Ooh.
um, and it was dropping until I got my first chemotherapy treatment.
You know. Um, may I ask you when you heard the diagnosis that it was breast cancer, what was your thought? What were you feeling?
Well, it was 1 week before my birthday.
I saw that.
It's 1 week before my birthday. So, um, talk about inconvenient. I love my birthday. So,
Yes.
more than anything, I'm like, okay, so I get this news and it's a week before my birthday. And I travel every year for my birthday because I work really hard throughout the year. And so I've worked hard like any other year, and now where I normally get to vacation, and I call it holiday. I'm like a European. I'm on
I do
holiday.
too. I call it
Yeah.
my national
Well,
holiday.
because I mean I am European. I'm part German, so
Oh,
that's what we call it. So I'm usually gone
got
like
it.
3 weeks.
Okay. Wow.
And technically, I was everything that I was used to doing
Mhm.
was now all about these visits. It was
Yeah.
all about these additional, these preparatory visits for my chemo that was starting.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I immediately decided that I did not want to talk about it. I know that if my friends and family, some of them that, are just hearing about it because I just put out
Mm-hmm.
something on social media this past
Right.
Sunday on the 1st. And I know that they're owed a conversation, but let me tell you, you don't know what you'll do until something like this happens.
You don't.
And I immediately noticed that mentally it was very draining for me to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then just having to repeat, like, because at the time that it happened, I'm dating this guy, and he's like, "So what happened?" And my mom's like, "So what happened?" And
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
um, the a young lady who works for me, who I had to tell her just in case she has to take me for visits or whatever, and she's like,
Mm-hmm.
"What happened?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm not going to be doing this. I'm
Yeah.
not about to be repeating this information over and over and over again because it just
It's draining.
terrified me even more and made
Yeah.
me so emotional to where I
Yeah.
couldn't even focus on what was next."
Definitely.
So yeah, that's that's what
Yeah.
went through my mind.
I could see that. Um, when you told your family, well, let me ask you this: did anyone else in your family have cancer that you
Not
know
my immediate, no.
of? Okay.
So my mom, not breast cancer. My mom has been diagnosed previously with uterine cancer, which of course is reproductive system.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And they were able to just do a hysterectomy and take, those parts and get all the cancer cells. Um, so I do have extended family who, um, one of my grandmother's cousins passed away, and then her daughters all had it. One of her daughters passed away as well, and so my
Mm-hmm.
my cousins, both of them have had it, the ones that remain.
Mm-hmm.
And the one that I'm closer to, we of course talked, and she did have a lumpectomy where she was able to remove a portion of her breast, and nothing like me, nothing,
Right.
not as severe.
Right.
So, but we did kind of compare notes and talk about it, just because we wanted to talk about the family dynamic of who may have it and who doesn't. And
Right.
so, like I said, she's
So
like,
was she one of those ones like you didn't tell anybody, but was she was one that you felt comfortable having conversations with?
no, we,
Really?
no, because we actually didn't talk about, or even like, she's not a close cousin,
Mm-hmm.
so we,
Mm-hmm.
like, it's like we love one another, but, life gets
Right.
ahead of
Right.
you. It's just like
Yeah.
you have a lot of cousins, you have a lot of cousins. So
Definitely.
she's not one of
Yeah.
my cousins that lives in Houston, she lives in
Mm-hmm.
Austin. And so, I mean, she's really busy all the time with her family, and
Mm-hmm.
so I hadn't seen her in a while, but I wasn't thinking anything of it. She was
Yeah.
going through her journey.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't even know how it was that I ended up finding out, but it was some months later for sure. It was a good 6 months after. Um, I want to say top of this year or the end of last year is when we were able to
To
connect.
connect. Okay.
And of course, she was devastated. And then I was like, even more devastated because at this point, she'd gone through it.
Right, right. Well, being that you did keep this a secret, I know your mom knew and your boyfriend knew.
Hmm.
How did how did you cope without telling people to get support outside that? Like, how did that feel? Did you ever get to the point to where you like felt like you were going to explode, like you needed to tell someone? Or are you
No,
good with keeping it the way you kept it?
no. I'm already a very private
Private
person.
person. Okay, okay.
So for me, it's not hard for me to hold on to
Got
things.
it.
Um, and I know that that's one of the things that people love about me because I am one of those that really can keep a secret.
Keep a secret.
But then again, I'm also one of those that will hold on to something about myself and deal with it internally. I mean,
Got
when
it.
I say I'm a naturally strong person,
Mm-hmm.
I do what's
Yeah.
necessary in that moment and I'll talk about it later. But
Right.
I don't ever look for sympathy.
Mhm.
I wasn't bred that
Wasn't it?
way. Like
Yeah,
you just
yeah.
do it. You just get it done. Nobody cares. Like you just
Right.
get through it.
Because at the end of the day, that's what needs to be done has to be done.
Have to do it.
Hmm. Now the next thing is so with chemo,
Mhm.
something I learned last year was about how quickly you lose your hair. I was a little ignorant to it. I'm thinking it was here, there, it just falls out. But I was told because the poison that chemo is,
Mhm.
how did that feel to lose the hair?
Oh my God. Now that specifically was one of the more devastating moments, um, for sure, because it was early on.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I told you it was my birthday,
Mm-hmm.
and they had sat me down, the entire team. They knew MD Anderson is just dynamic. I mean, they're phenomenal. So they sat me down, and every single person that was going to do any little thing, the plastic surgeon, the surgeon, the
Mm-hmm.
radiation oncologist, my primary oncologist, anyone that played a role, they sat me down. It was about 8 people in that room when I was
Wow.
initially diagnosed. And
Mm-hmm.
when they told me that, I didn't have a big chance of survival, like all of that was done in a room with 8 people, and it was all the people that I've seen throughout the past year.
Wow.
So they talked to me then about side effects of chemo, and they explained to me that, hair loss was absolutely going to occur. Well, I'm a
Mm-hmm.
God fearing woman, so I
Mm-hmm.
was just like, hey, God, if you just really want to like wow the people, I won't lose my hair because I'm very vain. I love braids. I
Yeah.
love, just I'm a stylist. I'm a girly girl. I love
Yeah.
to look beautiful. I love hair. I love sew-ins. And so to me, that it was even more crushing than some of the sickness that I had.
Yeah.
And so it's my birthday. I'm going into it like I'm gonna get me some braids so I can
Yeah.
start chemo off. So after my birthday, the guy that I was dating gave me some money for my birthday, and I was like, I'm gonna go get me some really nice braids. About $300 is what I spent.
Yeah.
Had those braids for 1 week. I had those braids for 1 week. My first chemo was November 11th. I started losing braids 1 week later,
Wow.
literally.
Wow.
And I mean, like whole patches, like
Hmm.
literally, like these were braids that like medium size. They weren't
Yeah.
super small or super big. And when I tell you they came out, the hair was attached to it and it was just like whole patches.
Wow.
Um, and so I was again staying with my brother. My mom was over
Hmm.
because at the time she was still living out of town. And I came into the living room and I just held the braid up. And like I said, I'm strong, but that
Right.
day I
That
broke
was, yeah,
down.
definitely. Oh,
All
wow.
that hair was gone, honey, in about I would say not even a week later, that hair
And
was gone.
it's funny because until I spoke with someone last year, I did not realize how quickly and how it's just like bam, it goes out.
Oh,
So
your lashes? I was getting lash extensions. Those
mhm,
came out. My eyebrows. I mean, when I say I'm a girly girl, like
mhm.
me and my wax lady who I've had for 15 years, we cried together
Wow.
because it was like I no longer needed her. I no longer needed my lash lady, who's also like my best friend in my
Mm-hmm.
head.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, there was no hair anywhere.
Mm, yeah. And I think that's something too that I'm glad you bring up so people can know that because again, it was someone that I
Mhm.
didn't realize you lose your lashes, like you lose
Yeah,
like, because chemo is a poison because there's a poison everything so that you can start over to kill that
definitely.
the cancer.
Hmm.
Um, so did you said something today in your post that I talk about all the time.
Hmm.
I used to be really, really small, but I've gained weight, and all I ever hear from people are, "Oh my God, you gained weight." This one guy walked up to me and said, "You look like you gained 10 pounds." Like, so I did a live one day about being careful about saying those things, saying about someone's weight loss, saying someone's gained weight, someone's skin color, because you really don't know
Hmm.
what's going on with someone.
You
So I
don't.
saw that and I wrote it down when you said that. And that matter of fact, I posted that on the post I did for you. That what do you want to say to people about that? About being careful about commenting on that.
Putting their mouth on others.
Yes.
You know, we unfortunately, I have to give the disclaimer
Mm-hmm.
that before we address making those comments, we
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately live in a world right now where this is common for us to comment on every little thing about someone. We
Yes.
also, at the same time, give a lot of information about ourselves, about our lives, about what we're doing. We post pictures, and so we're kind of almost putting it out there for people
Mm-hmm.
to make those comments and to people for people to, rate or um, judge or whatever it is that happens when we see just what people do on social media.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I've gotten phone calls about people just in general, like, did you see so and so? She looks like she's gaining weight, or so and so looks good. She's losing weight.
Yes.
And, me as just like a stylist and a plus size advocate,
Mm-hmm.
we have to, first of all, get out of the mindset of saying that somebody only looks good if they're losing weight because you can truly look amazing at all sizes. So I have to say that that's number one. But with me, I actually did lose quite a bit of weight prior
Mm-hmm.
to this journey. And I worked hard to do it. And it wasn't anything that I did because I wasn't confident at those larger
Right.
sizes. It was something that I did for my health. So with this breast cancer journey, I no longer could control any of that. I
Yeah.
couldn't control what my skin looked like. I could not control how I was, my appearance, because now I'm missing hair and I have to either wear a hat or a scarf or, just something, a wig, which in Texas, in Houston, is just sometimes impossible
Right.
if it's hot. And so now all of a sudden, not only was I having to cover up for the things that I couldn't control, um, I saw my weight fluctuate like nobody's business. Some
Mm-hmm.
days I could eat, some days I couldn't. And you know what? Even the days that I could not eat, they were giving me steroids. So I was
Yeah.
gaining, and whether I wanted to or not, I was
Mm-hmm.
affected by the medication. Well, I made that comment in my post because I would hear through family members comments about my body. Kim's picking her weight back up, is what one of my aunts said to my mom. Um, Someone made a comment to me one day about my skin being darker. Like, did you take a vacation? Girl, I ain't been nowhere. I got cancer. My mind, I'm like,
Right.
What vacation? From MD Anderson was the best was the
The
only
most
place that I
vacation.
was right, that I was able to see, and but
Yeah.
they it was the chemo was affecting my skin color, and so
Right.
that was the comment that was made. Um, and then, like, I was at my brother's apartment, and we were celebrating, like, 4th of July or something earlier this summer, and so my hair is starting to kinda grow back,
Mhm.
and he did a video, and I immediately got inboxes, "Did you cut your hair?"
Mm.
And I didn't show up that day. I mean, it was a little family barbecue we were doing. I didn't
Mhm.
show up that day thinking he was gonna post anything. And
Right.
that's, and my brother's pretty popular in the city,
Mhm.
so a lot of people follow him, and a lot of people know us both. So immediately I got questions about my hair
Yes. Yeah.
that I didn't feel comfortable talking about.
Talking about it. Mhm.
So, and I know sometimes we don't know that we're offending someone. It's just like seeing someone that has a tummy and asking them, "Are you pregnant? Are you expecting?"
That. Exactly.
It's
That.
not always our intention to
Mhm.
offend someone, but
Mhm.
I can tell you that for me, the hardest part was I had did the work, I'd lost that weight, and now all of a sudden I couldn't control, and I'm still about 35 pounds heavier than, where I started. Um,
Wow.
and with the mastectomy, I'm post mastectomy, and so now I can't like get out and walk. I can't, so when people say, well, they should do something about it, you want to lose weight. Girl, if I can stand up some days, you gotta understand when you're taking
That.
chemo, some days you can't open your eyes, like, literally, you have to, and I don't know if anybody in
Really?
the oh my
I
gosh, that
have.
was everybody's affected differently. I don't know if anybody that is listening or on our live right now can
Mhm.
relate and maybe throw in some of the things, some of the crazy, weird things. For
Mhm.
months, I had to when I woke up in the morning, I had to pry my
Mhm.
eyes open because they'd be stuck.
Wow.
And that was something I noticed from the chemo. So
Uh,
when I say if I just wake up and can
mhm.
pry my eyes open, I'm grateful. You know what I'm saying? So
Yes.
you telling me
Yes.
about what I should be doing? I'm
Yes.
just if the Lord gives me another day here, I'm grateful.
That is the part right there.
Mhm,
Exactly. Um, Someone asked a question. Um, my friend, Pink Breasty Sister, she's
mhm,
on. Her name is Tamika. She just says yes, everyone is affected differently, and she just says that it's coming with the hair loss, but it's
mhm.
still very overwhelming.
Yes.
Um, Someone asked, how would you define yourself through your journey?
Um, wow, that's a great question because I can't say it's an intriguing question because I don't know that I have necessarily
Thought about it.
defined myself.
Mm,
The journey is not over.
right.
Um, that's number one. The journey is when you are diagnosed, if you survive it, if it recurs, whatever, it's a lifetime thing because even if you survive it, you're always checking for it or you're always nervous about it. That's what I'm hearing from other
Is it like
people that,
post traumatic syndrome, you think?
oh, definitely, because they want you to come back in. I mean, Anderson is like death row records. You're locked
Mhm.
in. They're not letting you go.
Got it.
You're gonna have to show up every 3 to 6 months, and I think any cancer center, that's their
Hmm.
protocol.
Okay.
But if I had to define just what I've learned so far, I don't want to use the cliche word like strong because I think
Hmm.
that with or without cancer, so many of us are strong in our most emphatic way. But I would say I would define myself as faithful.
Good choice. Good word.
Even when they told me to prepare a will and testament,
Mm.
because that 40% of chance of survival was, creeping on down, and they were just like,
Mm.
we don't know. You need to prepare a will and testament. And I'm like, wait a minute. Surely the Lord didn't bring me this far to,
Hmm.
leave me here. Is this how it's going to end? So I remained faithful. And faith is something that regardless of how bad it got, I still always kept it because I've seen God pull me out of things that, are, and I don't know if this is a faith-based podcast. I hate to
Yes. Oh,
incorporate.
definitely.
Well,
Definitely.
I have to say that I had a small group prayer group that I'm
Mhm.
still very much active with, and there were days I would be hunched over from chemo and those ladies were praying for me. And I
Wow.
regardless of how sick I was, I still always had a little bit of faith. Like tomorrow
Hmm.
I'll feel better, or next week I'll get better. My labs will improve. Or,
Hmm.
there was always some little glimpse or, tiny amount of me being very optimistic for what was next.
Yeah. That's good. Um, I guess this will be the. I don't know if this seems like the same question. He asked, of all the words that you could use to describe yourself, what is the first one that comes to mind right now? Would it still be faithful?
It would be resilient.
Resilient. Okay. Okay.
Resilience, you can be strong, but not be resilient.
Resilient.
Resilience means that I don't care what they throw at you. A strong
Hmm.
person can be strong, but
Hmm.
resilient, it's like, okay, you got to come harder because
Right.
I've had a lot. And
Yeah.
before this journey, I know that God prepared me for this because I've had some tough, tough things occur in my life. And it never broke me.
Hmm.
Resilient is unrelated to breast cancer. Resilient is like when you see people and they say, "Oh, he's a 40-year-old rapper." He
Hmm.
doesn't care about what you have to say because his resilience is like, I'm going to keep going and I'm going to keep shooting my shot, or,
Hmm.
and it's just not giving up.
Right.
So, when I told you in June 2022, I had plans for what I wanted that year to look like. Resilience is me picking up the journey after my radiation is complete and I'm done,
Hmm.
and me picking right back up
That.
with more knowledge, more insight, more gratitude,
Hmm.
and just all, taking in all that I've gone through, not forgetting the process, but picking back up to what I love and what's important to me.
Definitely. I say that sometimes, like a football game, I guess a quarterback. I don't know the positions,
Hmm.
but they drop the ball and they have to pick it up and keep going. I think about that. That's what I think about resiliency. Sometimes you drop it,
Yes.
you have to pick it up and keep moving, and just even
Yeah.
harder
Black
than what you
women,
were doing at first.
first of
So
all, Black
yeah.
women, we are the most
Um.
resilient creatures on this earth because we're always told no. And we're never given, a lot of help. We take a little bit and make a lot. So we're
Hmm.
naturally resilient, but you don't know
Yeah.
how resilient you are until the odds are really against you.
Against you.
And it's
Yeah.
like saying, okay, Trina, you have a 40% chance to live. Are you going to just prepare to die or do you keep pushing?
Yes, exactly. And I think when you said that about them telling you to go ahead and have your will prepared, I think
Hmm.
for me that would have probably been, well, the hair of course, but that would have definitely freaked me out. Did you
Yeah.
do that? Did you follow those instructions, those suggestions?
Yeah, we were preparing. I was having those conversations with my family
Hmm.
about, and we didn't sit down and have like just one conversation.
Hmm.
It would be me just thinking like, hey, and another thing, I want y'all to do this, and I'm gonna make sure we write this down. It was just me thinking about it, and I was speaking openly because at that point I felt like, hey, whether I go today or 30 years
Whatever.
from now, I want y'all to be clear. Um, and this is the reality of what could happen. So, nope, I never got afraid at that point. I was more upset with when my hair left than.
Yeah, I can imagine that. And
Mhm.
I want to ask you one more thing.
Mhm.
Oh my gosh, I lost it. Ask you about family. Oh, you kept this all to yourself except your mom and your brother.
Mhm.
What made you speak out now?
Oh my gosh. This is really the best question of the day because I always knew that it was bigger than me.
Mm-hmm.
I always knew that I needed to be some sort of example. And I wanted to say, when I posted, I wanted people to understand that a lot of times we run to social media, we run to 10 people, we we put more attention towards the issue than actually putting action towards the issue. And I wanted to say that for a year, I mean, more than a year, I planned a huge event. I bought a house, I remodeled the house, I did little, I designed a collection, I consulted. I did all of this in this last year. Like, girl, how much time do we have, Trina? Your podcast is probably only a few minutes, but I want to tell you that I kept it moving.
Yeah.
I kept it moving. And so I wanted to show people, like, let me be the example because you saw me hustling for Coachella. You
Yeah.
saw me post that I closed on a house.
Mm-hmm.
I came in here and I had two different contractors because I had to fire the first one. And I was literally, when I say sick, hunched over in my house with stepping over construction materials and all kind of stuff. I mean, designed the kitchen, did everything. All of this went down while I was running to MD Anderson West Houston campus. Like,
That's crazy.
and to me, I wanted to say, hey, guess what? I'm almost like 85% done with this journey, and I
Mm-hmm.
did it without um a marching band. I didn't need someone. I mean, my faith in God is what brought me here.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what? Now I'm going to take my story and I'm going to use this month, Breast Cancer Awareness
Mm-hmm.
Month, which is also my birthday month, and the year that
Oh, really? That's
I was
right.
diagnosed. Yeah, I was diagnosed last year, October 19th. My birthday's October 26th. So I'm like, hey, let's get it. Pathology report came back. Cancer is gone. They still want me to do
Mhm.
radiation. But let's be clear. I did a million and one things. And it's just,
Mhm.
and I'm no different, Trina, than the mother of three that's diagnosed with stage
Yeah.
3 or 4. Still got to feed her kids, still got to
Yes.
do their homework, still has to pick them up whether she's
Right.
sick or not, she has to press through. Uh, what
Mhm.
about the ones that are handling, that are handling businesses, running businesses like
Yeah.
myself? Some of
Yeah.
them are maybe not homemakers. It doesn't matter.
Mhm.
As women, we don't make excuses. We just keep going.
Just
And
gotta
so
keep.
I wanted to be that example to say, listen, next time y'all complain about the tiniest thing, please know that there's somebody out there who's doing a lot more with a lot less energy, a lot
Otherwise,
less money, a lot less support, a lot less whatever. Like, just know, put your head down and get it done.
get it done.
That's right. Life still goes on.
And it
Life
does, but
still goes on.
also what it also says to me, the faith to keep going. You had this faith that, you know what, I know I got this going, but I gotta keep it moving. I'm gonna take care of this, I'm gonna
Mhm.
take care of me. But in the meantime,
And that's why I have to say, everybody,
mhm,
if for anyone who has to support someone that hears this show and maybe thinks, how can I support someone? Or if it may be you. I mean, as women, we don't know. But I have to say that as a woman who immediately decided I didn't want to talk about it, I still felt it was important to find my tribe and find my faith filled tribe. And for me, that was my small group. We were praying every week. Um, and I talk to the people that I could trust. So my thing is, my
mhm,
last advice about this, don't feel like you have to, if you get that type of diagnosis, you don't have to put it on a billboard. Pray first and ask, who should I be dealing with? Who
yeah,
should I be talking to on a
mhm,
daily basis? Who encourages me in life before I got this diagnosis? Who could I trust before this diagnosis? And
Right,
make
right.
those your go-to, your sounding board so that you can keep it moving. The people that you know are going to be there. A lot of people don't want to help, they just want to know.
They just want to know. And I'm gonna
They
have to
just
ask
want
you
to
that on this
know.
note. And I don't know if you want to. I'm gonna ask you something, and if you're not comfortable with answering, it's okay. I
Hmm.
understand.
Sure.
The person that you were dating,
Hmm.
was it a joint decision? Did you make the decision? Did you think it was too much for him?
Hmm.
How did that y'all come to the decision of breaking up?
So I definitely made this decision. I don't feel that he had the um, maturity
Hmm.
because, I mean, really and truly, to his defense, nobody's prepared for this. You
Oh
don't
yeah,
know how
yeah.
you're going to act. You don't know how you're going to respond. Um, and then it, to me, was about making time for what was important for my process, for those
Hmm.
appointments, for my chemo, and that it was like a few times where I was really disappointed because I wanted him to be present, um, and he was not because he also runs a business, a pretty successful business. So
Hmm.
I have to say that, I'm not upset about that.
Right.
I have to lean on, God knows all and sees all and he knows what's
Hmm.
important. If the
Hmm.
relationship was like titanium, we would still definitely
Right.
be. But let me tell you something, because I don't know if we're about to end, but I'm gonna put this out here.
Yes.
Honey, one breast and all, I'm still attracting men. So let these ladies know. Do not feel like you, because I immediately was like, I'm gonna be deformed. Nobody's gonna like me. And I happened to go out with one of my girlfriends.
Right.
It was, I mean, I was getting looks. People were, like, hey, can I stop you? So don't feel like, as because it really does mess with can
I'm
affect your
sure.
self-esteem, and it can absolutely affect your confidence. And I'm someone who builds confidence in women. So now I
Right.
got to go to a different place to try to figure out, okay, how do I cope with this? But
Hmm.
honey, one breast and all, you can still get them. No breasts, you can still, if you are single and that's your concern, make that your last worry.
Hmm. Hmm.
Make it your last worry.
So, are you going to get breast reconstruction, or have you thought about it?
Yes, so I am not eligible until after radiation.
Okay.
They really want you to heal. And the mastectomy took a lot out of me because remember the cancer spread. So
Right.
they had to take lymph nodes out of this shoulder. They had to go down my axilla and remove, and then they have to radiate the top of my ribs where I mean, the cancer really was spreading very quickly.
Wow.
So
Wow.
once that's settled in, I would say like 9 months to a year, but I do get a prosthetic. They will fit me for a prosthetic, and that helps you
Hmm.
to fill out your clothes pretty
Okay.
nicely.
Gotcha. Um, how many surgeries did you have to have?
So I've only had one. I've had several
Okay.
biopsies. I've had several diagnostic
Hmm.
exams. They do a lot of checking
Hmm.
on you, whether it be through an MRI. They'll do, the biopsies were early on just to determine, where the cancer and everything was. But and then, of course, labs happen all the time, but surgeries, thank goodness, just one.
Yeah. Wow. Um, so, can you talk about your Coachella event that you're going
Mhm.
to partner with Pretty Girls with Cancer? I love
I
that. As
am.
a
Yeah.
survivor.
So Pretty Girls with Cancer is actually one of my sorority sister. We know each other, kind of, I think we met like shortly after college, because I was living in Austin. I just graduated and she had just graduated. And I didn't know at the time. I mean, when I say you don't know what people are going through, you see this
Hmm.
girl, the CEO or the founder of Pretty Girls with Cancer is model type beautiful.
Right.
You look at her and you would think that she is just living in a very perfect Barbie world. So beautiful, so lovely. And when we had a conversation for one of the first times, I mean, like I said, been knowing her a while, but when we finally talked about partnering, she's lost her mom to cancer. She's had cancer a few times. So cancer really sees no face, and she's gone through a lot. But it was her event, and so we spoke, and I said, hey, I want to support this event because my brother has a social bike club,
Oh,
and the social bike club that's underwriting her event is actually the guy who's over it is friends with my brother. So I was like, oh, this is perfect
oh
because
yeah.
we've done lots of bike rides at 5015. They're really nice. The patio's nice, especially when
I
the
heard
weather is
about
perfect.
those. Yeah.
Really nice. Even the owner, Steve Rogers, he used to ride
Mhm.
occasionally with them. And so when she told me about it, I was like, Curvcella has to support and be a part because the experience socially is beautiful and it's for what we know to be a good
Mhm.
cause. When I
Yes.
talked to Candace, who's the CEO, about her programs,
Mhm.
she's 10 years in. Like, this is
Mhm.
not, how people
Mhm.
just go randomly start 501(c)(3)s and do
Mhm.
just random things every now and again. No, this girl has been running these programs, supporting children, women, diagnosed children for liver and breast, and she has done a good work. I mean, and
Wow.
consistent. She's partnered with schools, she's partnered with hospitals. So I asked her, what can we do? And her biggest thing is just getting donations in through the bike ride, socially talking about it, because the
Mhm.
conversation like what we're doing is
Wow.
necessary.
Yes.
And so we have already on my page, before I've even added a dime, we've already raised almost $400 for Pretty Girls with Cancer. So they're gonna get a nice check
Right.
when
Right.
it's all said and done.
Uh-huh.
And honestly, I see with her where the money goes, and
That
that's the biggest
that's
thing for
always
me.
important to me too.
So
I feel the same.
Curvcella will be there. We're providing the healthy snacks. They'll have water sponsored by one of our Curvcella partners that works for 1186, which is a Black-owned water company. They will
Mm.
be there, and then we'll have lots of vendors there. So it's going to be just a beautiful event. They serve brunch. There'll be music. There's a DJ. So once they do the ride, they start the ride at 9. The riders usually come back about 12, and then from
Mhm.
there is when we do a little partying on the patio. And
Mhm.
I say, even if you're not riding, because it is a
Mhm.
beginner's ride, you can still come to 5015 about noon. You can relax on the patio. You can network. You can meet other survivors that I know will be there. I'll
What's
be
the
there to
date?
talk. It's Saturday, October 14th.
Okay. And the ride is at 9, and
The
then at
ride
12
starts at
noon is
9.
when.
They usually come back, so it's like about 20-mile ride, and then they come
Okay.
back. It takes about 2.5 hours, 2.5 to 3 hours, but they come back, and then we just relax. We have brunch. Curvcella will have a table so you guys can stop by, and we'll be selling our um, Curve shirts, which a
Okay.
portion of those proceeds will go towards um, what we've already started as far as a donation for Pretty Girls with Cancer.
That is so awesome.
Hmm.
I have the funny thing is I've been across the street from 5015, but I haven't been in 5015. I'm gonna see if I
Hmm.
can at least get through there for a little bit. Um, well, I have a surprise for you, and I'm
For
gonna
me?
let her in real quick. Yes. So this is my sister, Tanisha Shields,
Ah,
and this
hi.
is Kim.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
So my sister's, the person I mentioned to you earlier, pink breasty sister, who's Tamika, that's on. That's my
Hmm.
sister's one of her best friends who was diagnosed with breast cancer a few years ago, and then she has another very young friend who was diagnosed. So she started what she calls the hug in the bag, and so
Oh.
every month she chooses a breast cancer survivor, warrior, someone's going through cancer, to give them a bag filled with different items, and each items is different. Each bag is different. So you want to show
Hmm.
her. We're gonna get it delivered to you, but we wanted to present it to you tonight.
Stop. Oh my God. And the bag is so cute.
Yes.
Thank you.
So then this is Tanisha. So you want to say something, Tony? Higher.
Hi, I just want to say that I make everything with love. I'll meet you after the call. Maybe we can get together to schedule a good time to get your bag next week
Yeah.
delivered to you.
Oh my gosh. I am just blown away that that you would choose me to have it because I love gifts and it's my birthday month as well.
It's your
Oh,
birthday
So,
month. Woo!
yeah,
Yes.
so
what day?
I'm it's October 26th and the
Okay.
bag is so cute. I can't wait to see what's inside of it.
Yes. Do you have a favorite hobby or favorite thing you like? I know you're a girly girl.
Yeah, I
So
am.
okay, okay. Well,
I
we're
love
gonna
to
get into
travel.
okay, okay.
Yeah, I think traveling for me is so fulfilling.
Yeah.
And then I was talking to my publicist Sheba earlier,
Mhm.
and she was like, Kimberly, honestly, you really love philanthropy too, and so
Yeah.
I it's really starting for me to make a difference. Like it has to make sense to help, um, like for these different causes. Like I really want to get in there and I want to get knee deep and. Some people are just like, oh, let me write a check. I really want to be like boots on the ground involved. So, as far as hobbies lately, it's been about who I can help and who I can
Yeah.
support.
And it is fulfilling. My degree is in human services.
Mm,
And they used to tell us in school, in my master's program, they told us, you're never gonna make enough money, but to be honest with you, to see somebody walk away different than they came into you,
that's
that's
right.
it's yeah, I need money to pay my bills, I need coins, but you know what I mean? It's just that feeling of helping someone. And my sister, she has
Right.
taken this back to others. And I think, would you say, Tony, that's what it does for you as well? I mean, you're doing it out of your heart,
Yeah.
but when people get it, they feel so good.
Yeah.
And I think you were shocked at first, right?
Yeah, I didn't when I started it, I didn't have I had no idea that I would get some of the reactions that I got. And when I first
Mhm.
I think after the second one, I called my sister and said I wasn't prepared for this because they were, I got like people that cried and said people never done anything for them and they didn't know somebody was thinking about them, and I didn't prepare myself
Mhm.
for those type of reactions. So it was I really got some good reactions. Even my friend, one of the ladies the reason why I started, even her reaction, I just wasn't prepared. So
Mhm.
I enjoyed that it brightens people's day, and it's always a surprise. So uh
I do want to add though, to give you just another layer of why you should keep what you're doing going. Breast cancer is a lonely place.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
And, we talked, Trina, about, you said I'm the first that you've talked to that has not been married, but I've talked to women, or about women that were married, and
There was still some loneliness.
it's there's still a lot of loneliness because their spouse can't identify some of the things that they're going through. And so to know that something was specifically curated in a bag for, I say keep going because that's just another special element, a special touch, that helps you not feel so isolated. I mean, you really are on an island sometimes.
right,
And, I hear all the people say, oh, you should talk to so and so. She has, but everybody's journey is so different. So you really
mm-hmm,
can be by yourself. And
mm-hmm,
knowing that you have people to talk to when you need it is great, but it's a lonely place. So getting those little touches, those little
mm-hmm,
gifts, they really could help.
mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the reason why I started, because one of my friends explained that to me later.
Mhm.
I didn't understand that, so I understand it now, and that's why I plan to keep going. uh Next year I might do things a little different, but
Mhm.
because I learned this year, I've been doing it since January, so
Mhm.
learning for me. So next year January I may do things a little different, but I'm gonna keep going.
Well, that's my goal. So I would love to have a conversation with you because I just was telling, my publicist that, she's like, "What's your ultimate goal with this?" And honestly, I know I can't resolve every issue surrounding every breast cancer patient or survivor, anyone that's just shell shocked by it.
Mhm.
But to have someone to talk to and just be in a non-judgmental place, or even just to, I mean, there were a lot of times I went on to visits and I was by myself. I went to chemo sometimes by myself. And sometimes, like, I love my mom. If she sees this, mom, please just understand that I'm coming from a place of honesty. I didn't always want her with me because my mom is my mom, and she could just like everything to her sometimes is a big deal. And,
Mhm.
even sometimes when you just want someone there and they don't have to say anything, but they're just there, I
Mhm.
just, I sometimes needed that. And honestly, I never had that. So, it's something that I feel that, we could do a better job of just lending like our time and just say, hey, if you want me to come with you, I don't have to talk to you about it. I'll just be present. If you want me there at chemo with you, just to wrap you with a blanket, go get your ice or whatever, those are the types of individuals we need. That's what I needed.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's great. That's a great idea.
Well, thank you, Tony, and we will. I'm gonna hook you guys up so she can
Hmm.
deliver your hug in the bag. Thank you,
Thank you so
Tony.
much.
You're welcome.
So that's if we were gonna meet in person, she was gonna come by. I said, okay, you'll just come on screen and you'll give it to her. So it's
I
something
love
that
that.
I thought was so cool. Yeah, and it's
Hmm.
and like she said, she'll call me sometimes and says, Trina, like they were crying, like because it
Hmm.
means so much that someone thinks just that much, of you. So
Absolutely.
yeah, but I hope you enjoy your bag. I want to thank you
Thank
so much for
you.
sharing your story. I do. I enjoy it, and I hope this
Mhm.
is just not a one and done. And I get to do something with you. If you have something where volunteers, reach out to me. I
Mhm.
love your stuff in the community, and of course, I read someone posted on your page today that, oh, thanks to my to your, what is your other name? She calls you something else, but you taught her how to be beautiful and be cute. She posted some on your page today. It's the
Oh,
look.
I have to go look
Yeah,
at
you
that.
gotta go back and look at it. But she was thanking whatever she had on. She was saying that you taught her how to be this person. And I was
Oh my
like,
gosh. Well, I would can't wait to get back to that because I feel like that was where I was before
oh,
all of this was my latest story. And I want to just end and say
definitely.
I'm bigger than breast cancer. It
Yes,
won't be
absolutely.
like I was a lot of things before my diagnosis.
Mhm.
But this won't be the most interesting thing about me. I think the most interesting thing about me will be helping others to not only cope but still be their best selves while
Mhm.
going through, just a little stop in life,
Mhm.
whatever it may be. But
And being the
um,
example too of being the person who was resilient, who got through, and who
mhm.
decorated their house and moved and everything. Like that,
Oh,
that inspires me. I'm still around here that just moved.
Oh, and you should see. I think Sheba. I have to say Sheba because you know her, but
Yes.
Sheba probably thinks I'm crazy. If I don't care how bad I'm feeling or how sick I am, you come
Uh-huh.
over here and I
We'll
cook
put it
or we're
together.
eating, I'm gonna straighten that whole house up in 2 seconds. That OCD never left me, even with cancer. Please understand,
Wow.
never left me.
That's I also want to. I'm gonna tell you one more thing because you said
Hmm.
something about being cute. Pink. I wish I should have sent her the link so she could have jumped out. Her name is
Hmm.
Tamika. Tamika's really really
Hmm.
cool. But you mentioned keeping people beautiful when they have breast cancer. They want to feel differently, and so
Yeah.
she does what she calls a breasty beauty bar.
Hmm.
And so I went to the last one she had here in Houston, and she got a beauty school who opened up their
Mm.
place, and she chose breast cancer survivors to come through. They did their makeup, um, their hair, like the whole nine. And then we had lunch or brunch or different things like that. So she's someone I definitely think will be great for y'all to connect because it was
Definitely.
so nice. It was really really nice to see them getting all beautified and everything. And of course, the other good part is the students. There were
Yeah.
hours for the students to get.
I love that idea.
That was really cute.
I don't
She
care
goes right
how
ahead and finish
talented you are. You have to find there's like a new knowledge base that you have to
it.
grab. And when we talked
Mhm.
about that a little earlier when I lost my hair.
Uh-huh.
So stuff like that is important. Those
Yes.
types of events are super important.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I'll make sure to connect you. But I want to thank you so much. And I have fallen in love with you already. Just the tenacity, and then just
Mhm.
and I know we said strength is one of those cliche words, but the strength, tenacity, the
Mhm.
resilience, all of that of
Resilience.
you. And I still it in my heart to know that you kind of dealt with it on your own to a certain extent.
Yeah,
And
I
that
did.
is amazing to me because of the stories that I've heard. So I know what you've gone through just from hearing other people.
Yeah.
Everyone's is different, but the same to a certain, for certain things. And I
Mhm.
just, I mean, I hold my hands up to you, and I thank you for being an example. Um,
Thank you.
Having the faith, because I know that faith had to definitely be a part of this journey for you to
Mhm.
do this alone. I also want to give a shout out to Sheba for introducing
Mhm.
making this
Mhm.
happen. She worked so hard. I was telling my co-host on one of my other shows that I just like Sheba. I just really like
Yeah.
her. Like, she's the real thing. Like, I love her. And
Sheba finds the most interesting people and the most amazing situations, and
yeah,
it's like she's like a magnet.
she's
It
a
happens.
that is the word. That's what I would say.
Yeah, she's a magnet, and so
Yeah.
I'm very grateful because I didn't know what to expect, and I'm so happy that we did this. So
Yeah.
happy.
And I hope you had a good time, but a girls chat is what I
Mhm.
really try to make this like us just having girl talk.
It was
And I know,
therapeutic for sure, so thank
oh,
you.
awesome, good. And I know so many people are, once it goes on YouTube, other people are gonna see it. And
Mhm.
my pink breasty sister says, thank you for sharing your story, my breasty sister. And
Mhm.
she also said something I thought was very nice. Oh gosh, where was it? I lost it. But anyway, she said lots of nice things to you in the chat. And but anyway, so I'll make sure that you guys uh meet up. I mean, or catch up or have a connection. I'll do
Yes.
that.
Yes.
So
And
um
thank you for all the nice things. I saw a few of them, so thank you so
yeah.
much for the compliments.
Yes. Well, thank you again, and you have a good
Mhm.
evening. And look for a call from my sister about to get your hug in the bag.
I sure will, and thank you. Have a good
Thank
evening.
you. You
Thank
too.
you.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.